This is the Fuji 35mm f1.4. I'm sure you guys have all seen this. You know, nothing new. It's actually one of the first Fuji X series lenses for the X Pro 1 at the time. So the reason I have this up is because I actually got a similar lens to this recently. What I picked up was the 35 f2. And I had talked about this lens some time ago and sort of compared it in size, and you can see it's quite a bit smaller. I'd compared it in size to the 35 f1.4 just from images I found online when this was originally announced at I think CP Plus 2015 or something like that. It was like almost a year ago. And I finally decided to buy it. I wanted a weather sealed lens, and pretty happy with it. It's pretty amazing how quiet the autofocus is in comparison to this lens. As far as image quality, I mean, they seem to be comparable. I haven't taken a ton of photos with this, but to me the big thing that jumps out is this thing is really buzzy and loud, and it has kind of like a old school focus motor noise. And this thing is virtually silent. I wouldn't call it silent, but it's very quiet. I would say in a way the old, not the old, but not too much older, but I used to have when I shot the Sony NEX, the E-mount system on the APS-C cameras, I had a 5N, and I actually am recording this right now on a 5N, but I used to even have an NEX6, which I sold. I had a 35-1.8, which was an optical stabilized lens, and it was silent. I would say this still. I don't know what it is with Fuji lenses that the motors are just noisier, but you can still kind of hear this, whereas I feel like that. I remember that Sony lens, you couldn't hear it at all, which was great for video. The good thing about this one is it's really quiet, so it actually is usable for video. And again, I know most people just consider this camera useless for video, but I still kind of am trying to embrace being able to do some video on these so I can have that kind of all-in-one camera. The autofocus during video is still, it's still based off the body. It's no good. It's in a way it almost seemed worse than some other lenses I've used with this lens, but I don't know what that's about. But you basically are going to need to manually focus, which I would do with these lenses, but you'd hear so much of the noise as you move the focus ring, the focus by wire, that would be running the motor, and it was just so noisy. It just ruined video. Even with an external mic, you could still hear it. I mean, maybe if you had lav mics on somebody, but that's not the kind of video I'm talking about. I'm just talking about like family clips, stuff with my kids. And it's just all the lenses, even the 56 1.2. I did some videos a while back about that. It's quieter, but it's still a little bit noisier, and that lens in particular, it's just sort of not very usable even in manually focus to deal with moving subjects and stuff. It's great stills lens, not so great for video, but I think this one will be pretty good. So I'm looking forward to using this more, and I'm also excited about the weather sealing, and I know a lot of people say it's not that big of a deal, but I think it is. I recently was down in San Diego on vacation, and was carrying my XT1 without the battery grip, which I'll talk about in a moment, but I had the XT1. I actually was using the 27-2.8, the little mini pancake lens, and it started drizzling, and I kind of got a little concerned. A little bit drops of water. I was trying to protect the camera a little bit, and I was thinking if I had this lens, which I hadn't bought at the time, it would have been nice to have not worried and continued to shot in that light rain, and even if it rained maybe a little bit more, because if the camera body got wet, I wouldn't care. I wouldn't be holding it out in the rain, but I wouldn't have been so concerned about it. The camera got a little bit of water on it, and I kind of at that point was like, yeah, this is gonna work with the 27. So I kind of tucked it under my shirt and kind of went on my way. So that's going to be cool as well. I will point out this. I don't see people talking about it much, but this lens hood is quite a bit nicer than these old style Fuji ones. I'm hoping this shows up properly in the camera. These do have the pinch things, but they're just awkward. People have always complained about these. Were pretty horrible lens caps, and they fall off really easily. The lens hood, on the other hand, were really cool. I really do like these metal lens hoods. These caps are sort of useless. I only keep these on when I'm storing the lenses. When I take them out, I almost lost one time and had to go back. I forget where I was, traveling somewhere or something. I was out, and I had to go back, like walk around for 5 minutes, and I found where I'd been walking, and I found this because it had bumped off. I had the camera on my side, and it literally catched on my shirt, and these just fall off. But anyway, these caps, at least this cap, I don't know if the other lenses have this, like maybe the new Zooms. I know they have a slightly different lens cap, but this is really nice. Speaking of that, you can see the lens hood here, and I have a filter on it because I'm kind of anal that way. I know it, whatever. Some people say it degrades the image. I like having a flat surface that if I get smudges and stuff on, it's easier to clean. Whereas I've always found cleaning the fronts, usually they're convex, the front of a lens, and that non-flat surface is hard to get clean. But this is the tiny little lens cap, and it works well, and you have a tiny little hood, and you kind of can get it in there, and it doesn't vignette from what I can tell with this little mini B&W mini or whatever XS, like it's the less thick frame or whatever, so it works pretty well. So I'll be posting another video on this lens in the future. The aperture ring, as you can tell, if you listen to that, it's very well dampened. It's stiffer. The old ones, this is barely any force, and it's soft, and honestly, I love this lens. The image quality is great, but this feels like a hollow, cheap piece of junk compared to this lens, which is kind of weird because I remembered when I first got the X Pro 1 years ago and got this. I picked up this in the 18, and I'm being like, wow, they're all metal. It's all aluminum compared to like the Sony lens. Well, actually, I think the Sony email lenses I had were metal too, but like from DSLRs, you have these plastic lenses. But this is like a heavy, solid, small, compact lens, so the build quality of this feels amazing. So, highly recommend it. F2, you're kind of limited. I actually was out shooting in a tree lighting recently, Christmas, time, and having that one less stop. This is 1.4, this is 2. It did make a difference. I was at 6400 ISO the whole time, and in super low light like that, even though these cameras do well at high ISO, they generally do better at high ISO when you have decent lighting and you just want the faster shutter speeds, for example. But high ISO and low light, this camera, in certain situations, I have 12,000, and then like 24,000, 25,000, I guess, on H1 and H2. The 51,000 is useless no matter what you do. It's just the colors are destroyed. It's garbage. I don't even know why they put it on the camera. But the 12,000's usable certain times. But generally I won't go past 6400. And at F2 with a minimal light, I had to do that to even keep a reasonable shutter speed of like a 60th of a second. So it would have been nice to have the f1.4. I would have had another stop, so I could have dropped my ISO or maybe increased the shutter speed if I was trying to not get a blurry shot. So that is a disadvantage of this, but otherwise this thing, the focus speed is amazingly fast, and in comparison to this, this is quick, but this is faster, and what amazes me is just how silent it is, and it seems really accurate. If you do the kind of smash focus situation, and it just will try to hunt and catch it, or not hunt, but focus and grab it. I feel like with this thing would miss the shot sometimes, and you just kind of did like a focus priority, and it wouldn't necessarily find, or sorry, I think it's like release priority versus focus priority. This would like often miss it and just take the shot, and it would be out of focus. Whereas this thing, it's like it's so fast and it shoots, and you think it didn't get focus, but then when you look at the image when you review it, it's actually sharp. So it's so fast that it can go from out of focus and get in, shoot it, and your eye can't even keep up with it, because what you thought you saw in the viewfinder when it went dark for that split second for the shutter was out of focus, but it actually isn't. So, but I'm really liking this, and I'll quickly show you what I mean. Nothing too scientific here, but you can't hear it. Listen. You can hear those are the aperture blades, I think. Because I have it at, no, actually, maybe not. It's at f2. You can hear it, but it's pretty minor. Whereas I'm not going to bother putting this one on. But maybe I'll do another video of literally go back and forth, and I'll probably go outside or something so I can do like something close to infinity and then up to close. But this is a really noisy lens in comparison. So anyway, really stoked about this lens. It's totally worth $399, which is actually cheaper than this, and they're both made in Japan. So I mean, this is a no-brainer. If you're just getting an X series, don't even bother with this lens unless you're like obsessing over the 1.4, because that is a difference. It does give you shallower depth of field, and you know, does give you some advantages. But I think this is just overall a better lens. So highly recommend it.